There we go. It worked. How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another video. And today we're going to be looking at Game Week 18. A little bit chilly outside, but that's why we're inside doing the FPL videos for today. You can see my team there. Got some points all strewn all over the place. I'm not sure why the FPL site, they've added this like little bar at the top, this like which covers up part of the team. So I'm gonna have to change something. With the format I've got it to kind of work, but I'm in full screen, which is kind of a nuisance. But yeah, let's go down to our predictions and see how we did for the week. So I'm going to bring over the handy dandy tweets across as per normal. For those new, we do predictions for all of the game weeks. We do clean sheets and players to watch out for and see how well they actually do over the course of the fantasy week. So first off, we said Liverpool win 3-0. They won 2-0, so we get 1 point for that. For Burnley Newcastle, we said Newcastle win 2-1. They end up losing 1-0, so we got that wrong. Chelsea, we said we win 3-0 over Bournemouth. Got that one wrong too. Thought Leicester would do a little bit more against Norwich. They didn't. They only got a draw. So again, another incorrect result. Sheffield United, we got the correct result, but not the right score. They actually ended up scoring 2 goals. Southampton, we said we win 2-0 over West Ham. West Ham ended up winning 1-0. So again, not looking too good there. United, we said we win 2-1 over Everton. We didn't. It was a draw 1-1. Said Spurs beat Wolves 3-1. They ended up winning 2-1. So we got 1 point for that one there. That was a pretty bad tick. Man City 3-1 over Arsenal. They end up winning 3-0, so we get 1 point for that. Crystal Palace, lastly, we said they win 1-0 over Brighton. It was end up being 1-1, so we got 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 points. So one of our lower scoring weeks overall, which I will note down as well. Not as low as Game Week 8 and 9, where we only got 3 points on that, but nonetheless, let's take a look at our differentials. So clean sheet for Chelsea, that obviously went through the floor. Crystal Palace clean clean sheet for Guaita. He did not get it, but he did rack up a decent bit of saves and got some bonus points, so we'll consider that a winner there. Kelly only got 2 points, so not good there. Mane for Liverpool, I believe he did get involved in the action, if I am correct. He did. So let's open back up the... Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want the snippet tool. Yeah. Snippet tool. Alright. So Mane did well. And then Ings, I believe, scored for Southampton. No, he did not. Mind you, he could have scored a few times. So, we got a 2 out of 5 there, which isn't great overall. That's a wonky 2. That's a really messed up 5, but it's okay. So overall, not great for picking any types of scores here. Surprises of the week, obviously Chelsea dropping points here to Bournemouth. Obviously getting the defeat at home. You would think that this would have been a really good game. I was thinking it was going to be a really good game. Not too much correct about that game, other than the fact that they probably should have scored. And they didn't. You know, Pulisic obviously having a chance in dying moments. Abraham could have probably scored. His own Mount could have scored. Leicester also just not scoring as much as what they thought they would have against Norwich. They should have probably been beating them for sure. Obviously, Norwich have taken Man City down this season too, but again, they want to keep up with Liverpool. They're definitely going to have to look towards beating everyone on a consistent basis. But you knew a mediocre result was coming for them. They now have 2 tough fixtures in a row with Liverpool and City in a row. City obviously coming first. Yeah, so we'll have to see how that kind of plays out, because the title could be pretty much by the end of December, come January, we'll know basically over or not. Obviously, Arsenal showing how terrible they still are. They got in Mikel Arteta, their former player, obviously former assistant manager for Pep Guardiola now at Man City. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I don't think he's going to be able to do anything this season. They're just going to write it off. For their sake, I would suggest for them to either if they're gonna make top 4, okay, fantastic, go for top 4. But otherwise than that, you don't want to be in Europa League, because it just makes it a lot more difficult to actually get the pieces together. You know, you have to experiment with your lineups. You have to put in these different players that, you know, these fringe players that don't normally play for Europa League, at least in order to rotate the squad. So whereas if they only have to focus on the league, getting top 4, that should be their priority again. And then basically excel from there. And then lastly, obviously United, we kind of called it. United, when they play against a team, that just sets up a low block, as the Mourinho has coined it, basically where they set up 2 banks of their midfield and their defense very close to their goal mouth. They tend to struggle. So Watford are probably going to do not as much defending as Everton, but we'll have to see. United has been quite disappointing against the teams that are on the lower end of the table, and we should be beating Everton. Did we do enough to win the game? Some might argue yes, some might argue no. I think no, personally. I think we were just terrible. Everton were also bad as well. Yes, it probably is a foul on De Gea in my books, but again, you can't just have one moment decide the game. You have full 90 minutes to decide your fate for the game, and we should be creating a lot more. We can't just keep relying on counterattacks or people mispositioning. You have to learn how to break a team down when they're sitting in like that. So, let's go up to the actual team here. So we should be able to see all of it there. There we go. So, we had Dean Henderson in goal. He got us a clean sheet, which was quite good. Lundstrom getting clean sheet, bonus points, and an assist, which was fantastic for Mr. Lundstrom. Very, very good. Very, very good for himself. Obviously, the thing is when people say, oh, you could have more points with Ramsdale and Rico obviously playing in the game. I thought that Norwich wouldn't score against Leicester. They end up doing that. But if I would have played Rico and Ramsdale, it would have been over Lundstrom and Henderson as a pair. So I'm glad that I stuck with this, because I basically netted 1 point over what would have been my other decision. Pereira and Soyuncu getting 2 and 3 points. Soyuncu actually getting a bonus point in that game, which is quite surprising. Zaha couldn't save me from getting knocked out of the cup against somebody who hasn't looked at their team and is ranked 5 million. But hey, it happens. Got us a goal finally, a very good goal. The Chelsea boys, Mount and Abraham, very disappointing. Obviously, only getting 2 points again. I believe Mount's gone down in price again. We can check that when we go to the transfer setup. De Bruyne, obviously going and just having a training session basically versus Arsenal, which is a very De Bruyne-esque, let's say. Obviously proving he is obviously on form, probably the best player in the Premier League has to offer. Mane obviously getting some points for himself. We're pretty happy with him. Obviously Salah getting more points again, which we don't like to see. We want to see Mane getting those points because we have a lot of money invested in Mane, and rather swapping from Salah to Mane and back and forth, it's just too sideways of a move. Kane doing what Kane does, which is when we expect him to do halfway decently, he just gets a yellow card. So yeah, but it was against Wolves. We didn't really expect him to do much. We expect him to do a little bit more this week versus Chelsea, considering their backline doesn't do well versus straight goal scorers, in which Kane is, so be interesting to see. And Vardy had a goal somewhat disallowed. He got an assist on the goal, which ended up being an own goal, but overall, still, we got a return from a captain. That's what we want. We want to be able to amplify the points that we did get. Obviously, in hindsight, we won it on De Bruyne, and that's fine too. But not many people still have De Bruyne, so his percentage is going back up to where it was before, because obviously he scored a big hole, and that's what people do, is they bring him in. But before that game week, he was down in the 30s, and now he's in the 40s, so yeah. And then, like I said, Kelly and Dendoncker, obviously 2 and 1. They didn't come off the bench. And Rico and Ramsdale would have played them over Henderson and Lundstrom, which would have been a 1 point net loss overall. But yeah, that's would I have done anything differently? No, I would have kept everything the same. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. You would have played Rico over Pereira. You would have played Ramsdale over Henderson. And that's pretty much it, really. Actually, you would have played Rico over Kane in hindsight, but yeah. And then Ramsdale over Henderson, and then so on and so forth. But yeah. So, if we move on to the way our current team is set up, that's kind of what we're looking at so far. just have a brief little look at it there. Let's go down to the fixtures for the week. Let me see if I can get these centered in here. There we go. Yeah, and you can see right there on the side there, lost by 1 point to somebody that's in the rank 5 million. We don't want to talk about it. You got a little sneak peek there. I'm going to hide them really quickly for the differentials. But Everton Arsenal, I don't believe both managers are going to be managing for this game. The two new managers in Ancelotti and Arsenal manager Arteta. I couldn't tell you how this game's going to go. I know Everton's going to be more up for it. I definitely know that Duncan Ferguson will probably have the edge over Ljungberg. I probably see Everton probably winning this game 2-1 maybe. I'll just say 2-2 honestly. Both teams can't really defend well. Personally, I just thought United was awful against Everton, and they've shown that they just concede goals, and United couldn't even score against them. So I'm just gonna go for a sitting on the fence. Actually, we'll go 1-1. We'll go 1-1. We will go 1-1. I think it's gonna be a pretty nothing game. Honestly, it's a pretty boring game. Honestly, because the two new managers, so we've been told, are not going to be managing these two games. It's going to be Duncan Ferguson for Everton and Ljungberg for Arsenal. Aston Villa versus Southampton. We are... I don't want to say that this is a gimme for Aston Villa because, however, they have been playing good at home. It's one of those games where Southampton will probably creep up on them. I think it'll be a close game. I still think Aston Villa can win. I think they'll win 2-1. Bournemouth are awful. Burnley are not as awful. I think Burnley will win the game, probably 2-0 or something. I have no clue. I'm just going to put that as a scoreline. Brighton versus Sheffield United should be a close contest. I think both teams will score, and I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace should win this game. But will they win this game is another different story. They are pretty good away from home, but Newcastle are very good at home. I can see this also being a 1-1 draw. Norwich versus Wolves. I don't see Wolves having any problem with this game. I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves because they defend very well for themselves. Norwich like to try to play football, so and Wolves basically park the bus for 90 minutes and hit people on the break when they can. Man City versus Leicester. Now this one's actually a tough game to call. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I still think City will edge it. I'm going to go City 2-1. United are going to have to start picking up points against these bottom teams, so I'm going to go with also 2-1 scoreline in favor of the other Manchester club. I just think that they should be too much for Watford, who's just been in disarray, and they'll probably end up getting relegated this season, unfortunately. Even though the club has players in it that should probably be relegated, and it'll be a pretty interesting off-season to see which players go where, because the likes of Deulofeu, Troy Deeney, you know, who's gonna move on for there. You know, Decore will go for pretty cheap, and he's a decent midfielder. You know, they have Sarr, who's obviously quick in his own right. Ben Foster's not a bad goalkeeper, definitely Premier League goalkeeper for at least one of the mid-table teams. So you know, was obviously a previous United goalkeeper for a short stint. So it's a type of fixed result where if United are going to win, they're going to win 2-1. If I had to guess, or 1-0, but probably 2-1 is probably more likely. Because United don't keep clean sheets. Tottenham versus Chelsea. I think Spurs are going to win this game. I think they're going to win it fairly comfortably as well. I think 3-1. Spurs are going to let Chelsea try to have the ball. They're going to let them probably try to play football. And Spurs are just going to basically burn them because Chelsea can't handle overloads of players streaming at them. And their defense isn't all that great, especially with Tomori. I believe Tomori's back for this game, but whether he starts or not is a different story. Zuma is awful. Christensen isn't much better. They need Rudiger and Tomori in there desperately, and their fullbacks can't defend. Even Azpilicueta is the captain. You probably want Reece James in there because he is very good defensively. And I would much rather Azpilicueta be in a back three like he was before. I think they could be quite potent. I think they could do well against Spurs with a back three of Azpilicueta, Rudiger, and Tomori if they're all healthy, and have the likes of Reece James and Emerson provide the width, and then go with something like Kovacic and a Conte in the midfield, or Jorginho over Kovacic either, and then you can just have a front two of the likes of like Abraham and Pulisic, or Abraham and Mount, or Abraham and Willian, you know, something like that to provide a little bit of goal scoring threat there. For the midfield, you'll say it's not much creativity, but again, Kovacic has a very good pass of the ball, same with Jorginho. Do you really need Conte if you have three center backs? Probably not, so you may be able to get away with playing Mount alongside Kovacic as an example, and then playing, like I said, Pulisic and Abraham up top, and then kind of transition to a 3-4-3 when in offense, but we'll have to see. In terms of clean sheets and differentials, clean sheets, I think Wolves, because they're against Norwich, and Norwich are very good. Pretty self-explanatory there. I think that we have Ryan as the Brighton goalkeeper. She'll probably do well. He might keep a clean sheet. They are at home. They are very good. He does make a good bit of saves, so even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet, he'll probably end up with 3 points as well. Johnny for Wolves, I think, is potential good defender pick for this week. Gonna get a clean sheet. Has been going forward quite a lot, and is very good threat on the break. Grealish is gonna have to be the man if Aston Villa are gonna have to be able to do anything. I almost put McGinn here, but I think Grealish has shown more and more why his price rise keeps going up. I feel that it's gonna be Grealish that's gonna have to unlock the Southampton defense, and I think you can expect him to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And then lastly, up front, Mapai. I don't know if I spelled that correctly, but I'll have to check after. But basically, Brighton forward, he's on fire. They're going to play him. If Brighton are going to score, it's going to be him. He's in and around the box. He's very lethal, and I believe he's quite cheap. So, yeah, he may be registered actually as a midfielder. Actually, now that I think about it, I think he's a forward. He should be a forward. Let's see. Oh no, he is a forward, and he's 5.8, so he is quite cheap there. And this actually transitions us on nicely to potential transfers that we can make. I have one free transfer. I don't think I'm going to use it at all, because if we look at our team here, this is kind of what we're looking at overall. I just think that our captaincy choice is a bit tough this week. We have to, we can pick Kane versus Chelsea, Vardy away to Man City. You know, he does score against the top 6 a lot, but again, it's a bit iffy here. De Bruyne is at home. Oh, excuse me, just coming off obviously a good performance there. Maybe Zaha potentially as a captaincy. It's a bit weird. Usually I like to stick with the home player. Obviously, Mane's not playing this week for Liverpool. He's obviously out in Qatar for the World Club Cup, or World Championship Club Cup. I don't actually know how it's pronounced, but yeah, I think it's probably gonna have to be Kane, probably. I think, because I don't think that City will be as fluent as what they were versus Arsenal against Leicester. Leicester are going to be a bit more organized. They're going to be a bit more cautious of the way City play football, and they're going to be a lot stronger with the ball, which Arsenal was not. So my choices right now is that I picked the home goalkeeper, Rico and Ramsdale. I think that Bournemouth are bad. I predicted them to lose 2-0. What I might do is I might leave Rico in there and swap. It's so tough. It's so tough. Let's check fixtures here. So away from home, do they keep clean sheets? They've kept 1. I mean, they do keep clean sheets. I mean, Bournemouth have just been in such a bad vein of form. Like at home recently, beaten by Liverpool, beaten by Wolves. Obviously, they beat United. I mean, they do. I mean, it's honestly a 50-50, really. I'm just gonna stick with the home goalkeeper. I think that it just makes the most sense. I think if Sheffield United are gonna concede, it will be away from home. They're stronger at home, for the most part. I think that's what I'm gonna go with. Even though I predicted Burnley to win 2-0. Hopefully it pans out right. Hopefully it pans out. When is the Burnley game? It's at the same time. Well, this is what we'll do. We want Lundstrom to score. So even if he does concede, he still potentially can get some points. So that's what we'll do. We'll root for Lundstrom to score, and if they concede, it's not the end of the world, but we'll root for Bournemouth to keep a clean sheet. But anyway, I don't think there's going to be much clean sheets in this week anyway, so I think it's going to be a fairly low scoring week, personally. Is there an argument to put Dendoncker in over Pereira? I don't think so, because I think Pereira could potentially have attacking returns. Obviously got them midweek. And then the argument for Soyuncu over Pereira, I think Pereira is guaranteed to start. I think Soyuncu is also guaranteed to start, but I think Pereira has a higher chance of getting attacking returns. And then is there any chance that Dendoncker gets in over the likes of one of the defenders? Probably not. It is Norwich away, but I don't think Dendoncker is going to be the one getting the attacking returns. I'll keep him as first sub because I think he's most likely to get better points than Soyuncu will, because I think Leicester will probably concede. But who knows? So yeah, I think this is going to be my team for the week. Let us know in the comments below what your team of the week is. So what team that you're going to be putting out there. You can also tweet at me, FileFlame226 as normal. Make sure to follow the stream, follow the YouTube channel, and like and subscribe. So wherever you are in the world, have a good day, have a good night, and we will see you at the end of Game Week 18. Take care.